Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I am Amber Bacenas, and I am lucky enough to be introducing your first panel discussion this morning, which is the Rural, Remote, and Indigenous Imperative. And that's the correct word. It really is an imperative. A bit about myself. I am a rural family physician. I've been working for about, well, over a decade now in the beautiful traditional and unceded territories of the Newhawk First Nation in Bella Coola, BC. And my path to medicine was anything but straight. I've been a ballerina, a commercial fisherman, and pretty much everything in between before I became a medical person. So I think it's no surprise I ended up as a rural family doc. We all know that that also is just a mixed bag of surprises and adventure every day of the week. And part of that mixed bag is transport medicine. And where I live in Bella Coola, our isolation, our limited resources, unique geography and climate really do pose significant challenges every single day to transfer and delivery of timely and efficient transport to our patients. So obviously this is just like all of you, I am extremely excited about this conference and really invested in learning how together we can work to improve, enhance, and support the systems that already exist here. So with that, I want to go ahead and start off our first session. I'm just going to introduce each speaker as they come up. We're going to have 3 separate speaking sessions. I just want to remind everyone that we're going to have the Q&A session at the end, so please just keep your questions and thoughts until the very end. We'll have a 20-minute session then. So it's my honor to first introduce our first speaker, Nikki Robbins, who is a registered nurse, educator, and systems-level advocate with over 25 years of experience in practice, clinical practice, leadership, and healthcare transformation. Her work is shaped by the dual lens of a seasoned clinician and as a mother whose son, Brayden, died because of preventable gaps in our healthcare system. His life and his loss are the driving force behind her commitment to meaningful change. Brayden's story revealed both the compassion within the healthcare system and the profound harm caused when systems fail, grounding Nikki's belief that safety, human worth, and accountability must never be negotiable. Known for harmonizing teams and facilitating courageous conversations, she leads with clarity, compassion, and a deep respect for lived experience. As Vice President and Vice Chair of Not Just One Voice, Nikki amplifies patient, family, provider, and point-of-care voices to advocate safer, more compassionate care. Her advocacy is grounded in evidence, shaped by experience, and fueled by love, working through Brayden's legacy to ensure no family endures preventable loss in silence. Nikki.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. So before we begin, I would just like to take a moment for us to all take a deep breath together collectively. If you don't mind, just gazing your head down or closing your eyes, resting your hands on your lap or on the heart center, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And taking a deep inhale through the nose, and holding it at the top, and exhaling through the mouth, and holding at the bottom. And let's do that one more time. Inhale through the nose, holding at the top, and exhaling, and holding at the bottom. So I won't lie, that breath was for you, but for me as well. Standing here speaking about my son's death is not easy. And my broken heart races as I speak. I remind myself that Brayden's love is with me all the time, and that is why I said yes to being here. I often wonder the meaning of all of this for our family, for myself, and those who loved Brayden, and whether sharing our story will be enough. But standing on the sidelines is not an option for us as we continue to live our life and try to navigate without Brayden in it. So before I continue, I would like to read a quote by Richard Wagamese from his book called What Comes from Spirit. So periodically through his book, he frames his wisdom as if he's talking to an old woman. And these are the words with the old woman. Me, what's the biggest strength Creator gave me? Old woman, choice. Me, that seems kind of small. Old woman, it's your true power, the biggest power. Me, really, how so? Old woman, with it you get to direct the course of your life. You can choose to give up, you can choose to hang on. You choose to feel angry, you choose to not listen, to stay tied to your past, to blame, to be prideful, to ignore humility. You choose your ego over your heart, to be a reactor or a creator. But you can also choose to let go, to have dignity, to forgive yourself and others, to see how valuable and beautiful you are, to be vulnerable, share your truest self, and to not be a victim. You can choose to be happy. Me, all that is mine? Old woman, it always was and always will be, but you have to choose to use it. So my name is Nikki, and I choose to stand here because my family and I's lives were forever changed on November 19th of 2024 by multiple breakdowns in the BC healthcare system, specifically pre-hospital and retrieval system in British Columbia. I stand here as a mother and as an advocate and as someone who has lived through the unthinkable, the loss of our 11-year-old son, Brayden. Brayden was vibrant, he was curious, he was full of the kind of light that made people feel at ease in his presence. His smile was contagious, and if you ever met him, he would have touched a place in your heart that was unforgettable. He loved his family, his friends, his school. He loved skiing. He loved building structures outside. He loved cooking and swimming. He loved singing and choir and family movie nights. His dream was to be a pilot one day. He had big dreams and a deep love for life and the people in it. He was our only son. He was a grandson, a cousin, a friend, and the center of our world. When he needed urgent medical transport, we found ourselves navigating a system that was not prepared to meet him with timeliness, with coordination and clarity that he deserved. The breakdown we encountered were not abstract or theoretical. They shaped the outcome of his care, and they shaped the course of our lives. His death is a reason I am here, but so is his legacy. Brayden continues to move us forward. His story has become a call to action, not rooted in blame, but in the belief that we can build a system worthy of the people it serves, a system that is coordinated, equitable, and responsive. A system that understands that behind every transport request is a family holding its breath, hoping the system will show up. Because the details of Brayden's care are protected under Section 51, we still do not know where the breakdowns occurred in his care. And that's a whole nother presentation in the future. But what we do know is that on November 19th, Brayden waited for 12 hours with a head injury before the air ambulance arrived. In those 12 hours, we witnessed our son trying to hang on to life in every way his little body could. We watched him go from alert and orientated to vomiting, to losing consciousness, to being intubated, to becoming unresponsive. We also witnessed healthcare providers doing everything they could within the system that did not have the support they needed. We watched the ER doctor be guided through, by video call, a procedure to remove fluid from our son's brain with a syringe, not once, but twice, because it was the only option available as we waited for transport. Everyone was at the mercy of transportation. I remember asking hour after hour, where is the helicopter? Where is our transportation? I was told they will be here within the hour, only for the hour to pass again and again. I was told they couldn't come because of weather, even though the storm had passed hours ago. I remember hearing the sound of a plane outside, only to realize it was either the airport or the military that was just down the way. Inside, I was screaming, "Why is our helicopter not here?" When they finally arrived, it was too late. They tried to move Brayden from the hospital bed to the transport cot, and his heart stopped. Every part of his little body had been fighting to stay alive until he couldn't. Brayden needed a life-saving intervention to relieve pressure in his brain, an intervention only at BC Children's could happen. But there was no transportation to get him there. Watching our child fight for his life while waiting for transportation, and then watching our child die because transportation did not arrive in time, is something no patient, no parent, no family or healthcare provider should ever have to witness. I am here because no parent should have to wonder whether weather, geography, demographics, staffing, or equipment will determine their child's chance of survival. I'm here because Brayden's life matters, and because the lessons of his story can help us create a safer, more reliable PRIM system for every patient and care provider in BC. So how has the BC PRIM system impacted our lives? It's shaped my life, my husband's life, and in very profound and irreversible ways. When Brayden needed urgent transport, the gaps in coordination, communication, and a timely response had life-altering consequences for him and our family. Instead of a system that moved seamlessly around our critical ill child, we encountered delays, uncertainty, and a lack of clear ownership over who's responsible for what. Those breakdowns didn't just create stress, they contributed to our son's death. They forced Brayden, us as his parents, and the healthcare providers into the impossible position of navigating a fragmented system in the middle of a medical crisis. This experience revealed how vulnerable patients and families are when the system doesn't function as intended, and that our current system does not have the emergency backup when it fails. Don't get me wrong, when the system works, it saves lives, and I'm grateful for every life that has been saved. But families should not have to hope that their loved one will be one of the lucky ones. I feel naive for trusting a system that was not set up to meet the demands placed on it. The impact continues today. It shapes my grief, my husband's grief, my advocacy, and my commitment to ensuring no other family experiences what we did. The PRIM system is meant to be a lifeline for us. Its failures became a part of the contributing factors that took our son's life. So what do I hope from PRIM BC? What do patients and families hope? I can't speak for everyone and all patients and families, but I can share what many of us hope for. A PRIM system that is coordinated, responsive, timely, deeply humane, and accountable. When a medical emergency occurs, people want to trust the system will move around with clarity and urgency. That transport will be timely, communication seamless, and responsibilities are clear. Patients also hope for true equity across geography and demographics. Living in a rural or remote community should not mean slower care, fewer options, or a different standard of response. Weather, geography, staffing, equipment are all real factors, but they are also predictable. Patients and families expect a system designed to anticipate these realities, not one that uses them as excuses for delays or inequitable access. Patients and families also hope for compassion. In moments of crisis, families want to feel seen, informed, and supported. They want a system that delivers clinical excellence while recognizing the emotional weight of those moments. Ultimately, patients and families hope for a PRIM system that is reliable, equitable, and prepared, one that shows up when it's needed, communicates clearly, and adapts when necessary, and treats every life as the urgency and dignity it deserves. Brayden did not die because he didn't care, because people didn't care. He died because the system did not act fast enough, and because the resources he needed were not available. His death reflects deep, well-known gaps in the BC emergency transport system. So in collaboration with MedResponse BC, we are asking for an enactment of what I'm calling Brayden's Law. A law that would support healthcare providers in accessing alternative transportation resources when primary resources are unavailable. Also, authorization for MedResponse BC to operate as a licensed nonprofit PRIM provider. And finally, alignment of BC's with national and global PRIM best practices, including modernization of Section 51 of the Evidence Act to enable transparency, family engagement, and system-wide accountability when harm occurs. We also hope to see the National Health Services Learning from Death framework implemented. Brayden's Law would authorize physicians to initiate alternative emergency and transport resources. It would enable nonprofit providers like MedResponse BC to operate safely and legally, and establish a patient-centered approach to emergency transportation. Brayden's Law is not about blame. It's about ensuring families never face the same avoidable tragedy that we have. As part of my commitment to strengthening healthcare in British Columbia, and hopefully beyond in the future, a group of passionate human beings and I are part of creating a healthcare platform called Not Just One Voice. Not Just One Voice is a nonpartisan, community-driven, nonprofit society dedicated to strengthening healthcare in British Columbia by amplifying lived experiences of patients, families, and healthcare providers. We exist to bridge the gap between the human experience and the healthcare system, ensuring that real stories shape real change. We believe that lived experience is a powerful form of evidence. By identifying patterns and trends across stories as evidence, we aim to inform quality improvement, illuminate system breakdowns, and strengthen the healthcare system from the ground up. Our work is grounded in respect, humility, and commitment to constructive, solution-based Solution-focused dialogue. Our intent is to not criticize, cast blame, but to highlight what is working, address what is not, and to collaborate across all levels of leadership. Our mission is to amplify the voices of those who move through the healthcare system, to surface insights that support both patient and provider, and to help build a learning health system where open, transparent, and forthright communication is the norm. Our vision is a healthcare system shaped by people within it, where lived experience informs legislation, policy, and practice, and where community and leadership work together to create meaningful, sustainable change. Driven by lived experiences and powered by community, not just on voices committed to strengthening healthcare through collaboration, evidence, and the stories that matter. We are grateful to be collaborating with the Jim Pattison Center for Health Systems Learning and Innovation, an independent, innovative hub based in Kelowna that works to turn innovative ideas into real-world health system and improvements. Together, we are ensuring that lived experiences and care practitioners' perspectives help shape how care evolves. There is more to come, and we invite you to stay connected as this work continues to grow. So before I leave this space, I invite us to take one more breath together. This breath is for Brayden. This breath is for every child, patient, family, and healthcare provider who depends on our system. And this breath is for the future we are choosing to build. May we carry the truth that every life is precious. May we remember that the system is made of people, and people have the power to change them. May courage rise where silence once lived. May accountability take root where uncertainty has been allowed to grow. May compassion guide every decision, every policy, and every response. And may Brayden's light, the joy he carried, the dreams he held, the love he gave so freely, be a compass for all of us. A reminder that we do this work not out of anger, but out of love. Not out of blame, but out of responsibility. Not for one family, but for all families. May we walk from this room committed, connected, and awake, ready to build a system worthy of the people it serves. I would like to leave you with this quote. To err is human, to cover up is unforgivable, to fail to learn is inexcusable. By Dr. Sir Liam Donaldson. We all are learning in this process, and it's our responsibility to take action from what we've learned to make the changes that are necessary for future. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring, and thank you for standing with us as we work to build a system that honors every life, including Brayden's. Thank you.